We know the impact of transportation, like cars, on the environment is significant. But do we know the impact of meat? Meat. We eat it all the time, and for some off, no dish is left without it. Meat production, however, accounts for over 80% of agricultural land, and that can cause some problems.
Stop! Don't eat that burger.
Wait, who said that?
Many people believe their individual actions won't make a difference, but as a matter of fact, it does. What we eat matters a great deal. Roughly 25% of all global climate change problems can be attributed back to food production, processing, and transportation. When considering the process of producing a single serving of beef, you end up emitting 330 grams of carbon dioxide, which is equivalent to driving a car 5 kilometres. Why does meat account for such a large amount of global warming? Well, livestock accounts for a little over 14% of greenhouse gases, which is about equal to transportation. This is partially because ruminant animals, like sheep and cows, are very gassy, and the methane they produce is 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide. It takes an enormous amount of land to produce meat. A third of all forests and crops grown globally are cut down to make room for livestock production. With this, livestock takes up nearly 80% of global agricultural land, yet produces less than 20% of our calorie intake. To put this in perspective, according to the UN, the US alone used 56 million acres of land purely to grow food for the animals, while only 4 million acres are used to produce plants for human consumption. Now, to visualise this, all plants we consume equal the size of Sydney, but with meat, we're looking at not just one Tasmania, but 3, or the size of Victoria. Agriculture takes up 50% of total habitable landmass. And if consumption around the world reflected that of America, we wouldn't be able to feed anyone. We'd not only have to give all our land to agriculture, we'd still need around 38% more. With this, most people ignore or are simply oblivious to the detrimental impacts a single serving of beef can have on the environment. Over the next year, more than 50 billion land animals will be raised and slaughtered for food globally. While concerns of their welfare pose ethical problems, a major issue we should take away from this global animal holocaust is the valuable resources wasted and the major footprint left behind as a result of this process. A third of all food products are wasted, with single households in Australia wasting 570,000 tonnes of fresh meat every year. This is about 50 million chickens, 1.5 million pigs, and 100,000 beef cattle. Globally, this is close to 12 billion animals a year. With meat wastage comes water waste. Just 1/4 pounder hamburger takes around 1,650 litres of water to produce. If we take the amount of beef cattle wasted a year, which is 100,000, we get a total of 165 billion litres of water waste per year in Australia alone. A standard sized pool would have to be over 112 billion feet deep to hold the water wasted per year in Australia. That depth would almost be 1/4 of the distance to our sun. If we wanted to live sustainably and not suffer the fate of the dinosaurs, we need to make drastic changes in the way we treat food and water. With the population set to exceed 10 billion by 2050, we're hitting Earth's overshoot date earlier every year. We need to adjust our consumption patterns to something we can replenish efficiently. While theoretically, it would be ideal for us all to become vegan, it is simply not possible. A better option would be reducing the amount of meat we consume rather than cutting it out completely. Research has shown that the Mediterranean diet is perhaps one of the healthiest in the world. It is a primarily plant-based diet, which is abundant in foods such as fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and olive oil. Switching to the Mediterranean diet will make an impact as large as taking 1 billion cars off the road every year, reducing our carbon footprint dramatically. To be sustainable as a global society, we have to take into account a few things. To begin with, air, soil, and water quality, water availability, human health, economic and population growth. These factors need to be considered in future planning of farms and populations, as well as the factors around consumption and what we choose to eat. Patterns of consumption will be a massive indicator in the future sustainability of food. However, social pressure to change current consumption trends will face issues like community acceptance of the adjustment. As opinions shift, and diets change, we see a future of food that is not only sustainable for a global population, but also economically viable and ethically better.